Hi, I'm Bryce Murfarians.
And I'm Misty Murfarians of Ontario Permaculture.
We met 16 years ago while working in the city as chefs. We fell in love with each other and with food, and we left the city in pursuit of sustainability, real food, and that's where we found permaculture.
We want to talk to you today about how food relates to permaculture, just before Bryce will walk you through a typical foolish winter meal. Now, when Bryce says real food, what we basically mean is food that's come straight from its source. It still has all of its goodness from the land, and ideally, you know the story behind it, where it came from, and who or what produced it. For us, sustainability as it relates to food means local, artisanal, and seasonal. And that's how we try and cook. Our mission is to be ever increasingly sustainable in our lifestyle. So even when we don't have produce coming from our own farm, we try and buy things that fit within our regional and seasonal diet. Buying food this way is also a good idea to give us an idea of what to grow next growing season. Cooking straight from the garden or food forest requires a little bit of practice. You need to find a repertoire of recipes that will fit as you adjust it as different produce becomes available. In winter, this means dishes featuring cold hardy greens such as Brussels sprouts.
In this video, I'll be using store-bought brown rice noodles, simply because our farm is temporarily out of chickens and thus temporarily out of eggs. Watch for a future video on making noodles with farm fresh eggs. We're very excited to have been selected to participate in the 2021 Favorite Chef competition ongoing right now until April 7th. You can click the link down below, please do, and vote for us once a day and every day until that day. And stay tuned for after the recipe for more information. Well, all right, let's get started. Always start with a good, sharp chef blade and bowls ready to receive your mise en place. As you can see, I'm a little bit ahead of the curve here. I've been chopping some Brussels sprouts in advance. Let me show you what I've been doing. I cut off the base and I quarter them right along the base. So you see how they hold their shape this way, and this maximizes the surface area for caramelization. Speed up a little bit again, cut off the base, cut into quarters. Sometimes when cutting your Brussels sprouts, you'll come across one that's a little imperfect or it's been damaged. And it's especially bad if there's been dirt pushed down into the hole. Now the easiest way to trim this is to simply take off the outer leaves. The ones that are still good can be saved, they can be added into the dish. The ones that are no good or are dirty can be tossed into the side dish here. You can see I'm keeping a side dish specifically for giving to my cow. Once it's all cleaned up and you can see it's all tidy and ready to go, just slice off the dent and hopefully take any dirt away with it. And then repeat just like before, cut off the base and quarter. As we mentioned before, Brussels sprouts are one of the last crops to come out of any winter garden. They're a beautiful crop and they keep very, very well on their stems, so if you harvest them yourself, try to keep them on the stems for as long as possible. Brussels sprouts have a wonderful and vibrant flavor, and I find that caramelizing them really brings out that flavor to the maximum. Now sometimes you'll find something like this, a little piece of broccoli, just toss that in, I don't think it really matters. Place your Brussels sprouts aside and get out a handful of garlic. I find the easiest way to get into garlic is simply to smash it with the heel of your hand on top of the blade. Now be careful with this, it takes a little bit of technique. You make sure that you don't send it flying across the room, and then once you've smashed it, you can see it's very easy to peel the skin off, and the garlic itself is already partially ready for cooking. This dish will be finely mincing the garlic. Take the time to practice chopping. When you get good, you can do it really fast. And you can see I take the time again to smash the garlic a little bit with the side of my blade. This helps bring out the juices. At about this time in the process, you'll be adding your penne noodles to some salted boiling water. Now we open our onions. The easiest way is to cut off the top and the bottom, slice it in half, and then while still holding the blade, peel off the outer rim of the onion. You can do the same on the other side, and there you go. We are dicing our onions for this dish, so once we pulled the peel aside, which sometimes can take a moment. Slice down through, but not all the way through at the base. Do the same to both halves. And then turn it and slice through to get a very fine chop. Place this with your garlic and get out a little bit of hot pickled peppers. You'll adjust this according to your preference and taste. Chop it finely and add to the onions. Next, we're getting into one of our secret ingredients, the smoked oysters. Now, of course, this is midwinter and we are not living by the ocean, so our smoked oysters are in a can. This is perfectly fine. It's a very affordable way to get your protein. Of course, following permaculture principles, if you live by the ocean, you'll have your own form of smoked fish, and you'll definitely be using that. And of course, if you're a vegetarian, simply leave that out. And now comes the last step of our mise en place, the shredding of the cheese. Now, you can see most people, when they shred cheese, they tend to get their thumbs right in the way, but I'm going to show you a secret. This right here, the base of your hand, is a secret chef tip, magically shred-proof. Now, I'm going to demonstrate how this works so you can do it yourself. Test it out. Please be very careful when testing this out. But look, that part of your hand, basically shred-proof. Now, if you are going to try this yourself at home, do so safely and slowly and carefully, but this will save your thumbs by bringing the base of your hand right up here. Please only on a box grater, never on a microplane. This even lets you keep the pressure on right down to the last little nubbin. About this time, your noodles will be finished. Now, these have already cooked in boiling water, and they've been rinsed in cold water. Being rice noodles, they need a little bit of treatment afterwards. I find after you've rinsed them in cold water, this will help them to not stick. Give them a little bit of olive oil on top, because this is an Italian dish. That's perfectly fine. Shake them all up to make sure they're well mixed and they don't stick to each other, and they will keep just fine at room temperature, ready to go into your dish. A little bit al dente in advance. Next, we add the olive oil to the pan. You're going to change this a little bit based on your recipe and your preferences, but we'll start off with about 8 ounces. Let's say that's 10 ounces. Get the oil nice and hot and start your Brussels sprouts. Now, this is where you can see the caramelization is really going to start to happen, the good surface all over these Brussels sprouts. We're going to make sure they get nicely cooked. This is going to bring out the best flavor. We season right away, a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper, and then we're going to put the lid on this and let the steam and the oil and the heat do all of its magical Maillard reactions and really get the flavor coming out of these beautiful Brussels sprouts. Make sure they're well contacted with the pan, get some good coverage, and then, oh my goodness, look at that, a little time lapse and everything's beautiful already. So we'll get the lid back on that and let that steam for just a moment. How beautiful that's becoming. See the Maillard response, the caramelization on those Brussels sprouts really coming along nicely. Just another moment under the steam. And there we are. Just about ready for our next ingredient. So you can see you got a little space there. We pull it to the side and we add in our onions, garlic, and peppers. Let them sear on the side of the pan. And then after a moment, we can just stir them right into the rest of the Brussels sprouts. Now comes the smoked oysters with their oil in, and we then add to the smoked oysters, making sure, of course, we get all of the oil in the pan. We add our dry ingredients, we add that right to the oil as well, so that it gets a brief activation in the oil, sort of making essentially a curry paste, but in an Italian style in this case. Give that a moment to activate, and then stir it all together. At this point, the smells in the pan are absolutely magnificent, and the whole house is just filled with amazing aroma. Now we're going to add our liquid ingredients, a bit of lemon juice, or seasoning, and then some of the vinegar from the pickled Italian peppers. You may use a little water if that's all you have. And now we're going to toss in our pre-cooked noodles. Let them steam for a moment to heat up, and then we'll start stirring them in. gentle to your noodles as you stir them in. Work them in just a little bit. You'll see how much oil you've got in the pan, and since the oil is the sauce at this point, add as much as you think you'll need, and add the cheese. Stir them all together. And we are in the home stretch here. Always taste your dish when you think you're finished. Add a little pepper, a little bit of salt, and of course some acid like vinegar or lemon juice. And all of these flavors will help to finish the dish and make it all merry in the end. Give it just a moment to steam. Stir it all up. Make sure everything's well coated. And give it one last taste. Ah, excellent.
May we together bless this food. May we all receive its full benefit, nutritionally and spiritually. May we all savor its taste and make full use of the energy it provides. May we in turn feel blessed that we may share this energy in good company and good health. Amen. Now we may eat it.
Favorite Chef is raising funds for Feeding America by throwing a contest, and we're excited to have been invited to participate. You have the opportunity to support us and to support Feeding America at the same time. You can follow the link down below and click on the free daily vote button. That will support us. And if you'd like to support Feeding America, click on the Hero Vote button, which will vote in $10 and 10 vote increments. Each $10 goes to support Feeding America, a cause which obviously we're deeply aligned with. Our goal is to ultimately win the $50,000, which would be truly a wonderful thing for our farm and would unlock a lot of wonderful projects here, but mostly would mean a lot more food forests which we could plant and start transplanting out. So this hopefully will get the ball rolling on a lot of brand new food forests, and we're really, really excited about the possibilities and potentials of this. So if you'd please, click the link down below, follow, vote once a day and every day, and thank you very much for taking the time to watch our video and for taking the time to support us.
Thanks for your help, guys.
Be well. Oop, now recording outtakes. It's juicy. Nothing's happened yet. You're awesome, Misty. Hi, I'm Bryce Murfarians. That's Misty. We'd like to talk to you today about...
Mission is to be
Blah. Blah.
blah.
Blah. We have a good mission.
It's a good mission.
We're very excited. We're very excited to be poof. We're rolling right along. I'm going to eyebrow act my way through this. We're very excited to have been selected by. Okay, no.